Video, we're going to talk about completing the square. Example 1. Use complete the square to find a value of c that makes x squared minus 44x plus c a perfect square polynomial. Then write the expression as a binomial. So first, let's figure out what complete the square is. So complete the square, the first thing you do is you take b divided by 2 and you square it. So in this example, my b equals negative 44. So if we're doing b divided by 2, it's going to be negative 44 over 2, and we're going to square it. So negative 44 over 2 is just going to be negative 22 squared, and negative 22 squared is going to be 484. So let's start filling in. So we have x squared minus 44x plus 484. So c is 484. Now we're just going to write it as a perfect square binomial. So we're going to use this piece, this middle piece here, x minus 22 quantity squared, and we're done. If we were to multiply this back out, x minus 22, because remember, technically x minus 22 squared is the same thing as writing the x minus 22 twice. We would have x squared minus 22x minus 22x, and then negative 22 times negative 22 would be positive 484. And if we add this together, we would have x squared minus 44x plus 484. So we got back what we originally had. So our value is c, and our perfect square binomial is going to be x minus 22 squared, and we're done with completing the square in this example. We have x squared plus 16x plus 9, and we're going to complete the square again. So first thing we're going to do, we're just write x squared plus 16x plus, we're going to find out what this value is, and we're going to move the 9 to the outside of the parentheses. So again, we're going to do b over 2, which our b value is 16, squared. So it's going to be 16 over 2 squared, and 16 over 2 is going to be 8 squared, which is going to give me 64. So this example is going to be x squared plus 16x plus 64 plus 9, and then we're going to minus the 64 from the 9. So our perfect, this piece, when we factor it, it's just going to be in the form of x plus that middle piece, so 8 squared, and then 9 minus 64 is going to be minus 55, and we are done completing the square with example number 2. Example 3, we're going to solve x squared minus 4x plus some number to give me 5. We're going to solve this using complete the square. So first step we're going to do is we'll take negative 4 over 2, and we're going to square it. So divide, negative 4 divided 2 is going to give me a negative 2, and square, that's going to give me positive 4. So now just plug in x squared minus 4x, and let's just highlight. So the 4 is going to go in that blank. So plus 4 equals 5 plus, we'll add the 4 on the other side of the 5 as well. So next step is factor. So that's where we're going to use this middle piece. I'll highlight that in yellow. So we have x minus 2 squared equals 9. Now to solve, we're going to take a square root. Take a square root of both sides. So we have x minus 2 equals plus and minus root 9, which is technically 3. So now we're just going to add 2 to both sides. Add 2. Add 2. So we have x equals 2 plus and minus 3. So we can split this into two solutions. 2 plus 3 or 2 minus 3. 2 plus 3 will be 5, and 2 minus 3 will be negative 1. And we're done solving this by using complete the square. 4. We're given 10x squared minus 30x minus 8 equals 0. And we're going to solve this also by using complete the square. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to move the 8 over. So 10x minus 30x minus 8, and we're going to add 8 to both sides. So we're going to get equals 8. And let's just give a little bit of room for the equal sign. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to divide everything by 10. So we have x squared minus 3 equals 8 over 10, which I can reduce to 4/5. Now we complete the square. So my b over 2 squared is going to be negative 3 over 2 squared, which is just going to break into 9/4. We have to square the top and the bottom. So I'll highlight it in the same colors. So we'll add 9/4 to the right side and 9/4 to our blank. So now we're going to just factor. So we're going to have x minus 3/2 squared, and the 3/2 again came from that middle piece, equals 4/5 plus 9/5, or 9/4. So to do this part, we have to find a common denominator. So we multiply this one by 4 over 4, this one by 5 over 5. So this is really 16 over 20 plus 45 over 20. So 16 plus 45 is going to be 61/20. So now we're just going to take a square root of both sides. So we have x minus 3/2 equals plus and minus square root of 61 over 20. And then we're just going to add 3/2 to both sides. So our final answer will be 3/2 plus and minus square root 61 over 20. And you would just put this in the calculator, get our decimal approximation, and we're done solving that one. And our last example, this shows how to solve any type of quadratic, and we're going to derive the quadratic formula using complete the square. So our first thing we're going to do is we're going to have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. We're going to subtract c from both sides. So we have ax squared plus bx equals negative c. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to divide everything by a. So the a's, these a's, this a cancels out, but we can split this technically into ax squared over a plus bx over a equals negative c over a. So this one cancels. So we're left with x squared plus bx over a equals negative c over a. Let's keep working this. So now we're going to start our complete the square part. So my b term this time, my b over 2 term squared is going to be b over 2a squared. So this will result in b squared all over 4a squared. So add this to both sides. So we'll highlight this in yellow. We'll highlight this piece in green. So we have b squared all over 4a squared plus b squared all over 4a squared. Now, all we have to do is factor. So that's just going to be x plus b over 2a quantity squared equals negative c over a plus b over 4a squared. Now we can combine like terms if we multiply by a common denominator. So we're going to multiply this by 4 over a over 4 over a. So on the right side, we're going to have negative 4ac plus b all over 4a squared. So it's already starting to look like the quadratic formula. So we can move the b in the front. So it'll be b minus 4ac over 4a squared. And just bring down this x plus b over 2a squared, x plus b over 2a squared. Now we can take a square root. Square root. Square root. So we have x plus b over 2a equals plus or minus square root b minus 4ac. We can split by the division rule. We can split this into 2 square roots. Square root of 4a squared. So now we can simplify the bottom. So plus or minus b minus, sorry, this should have been b squared. I just copied it. B squared. There we go. B squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then we just have x plus b over 2a. Now we just subtract the b over 2a. And then we have, we'll just continue up here. We have x equals negative b over 2a plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all this over 2a. So we can just combine it. Negative b, because we have a common denominator, plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all this over 2a. And this right here is my quadratic formula. So hopefully this helps you understand how to complete the square and helps you realize where the quadratic formula actually came from.